Immigrant Allies, or GLIA, the ACLU in the greater Lafayette area, as well as the Indiana Undocumented Youth Alliance that is present through different college campuses across Indiana. My name is Dara, and I am a representative of ACLU, and I'm here to share my story as a deferred action for childhood arrivals or DACA recipient. But first, I'd like to introduce Susan from the community, and I'm sure where she is, if she can come up and help us. All right, thank you, Susan.
Hello, my name is Susan Briette. I'm the director of Alum Immigration Clinic. I'll keep my comments brief, but I wanted to stand with you, all of you who are gathered here today, in support of the amazing and hardworking DACA students who live, work, and go to school in our community. They're the same people who are defending this country abroad and protecting our national interest and way of life. I can tell you firsthand that they make our community better. I want to share with you this poster. This is a poster back from 2007, 2008, I think, when the Senate was about to pass the DREAM Act at that time. It just reminds me, I look at this in my office, it reminds me that we have unfinished business. The young people who are helped by DACA and would have a pathway to citizenship through the DREAM Act are vital to Greater Lafayette. It is in our vital interest to maintain DACA and pass the DREAM Act. As an aide to then Senator Lugar, I never imagined that I would be standing here today advocating for an executive order that keeps extremely talented and capable young people who model for us the work ethic to which we aspire as Americans, treading water rather than moving forward and getting their U.S. citizenship. It makes me extremely sad that after almost 20 years, that we as a nation haven't been able to get the job done, given that these young people are essential and already a part of the fabric of this country. It befuddles me why we have not been able to put this behind us, rather than talking about the future of DACA. These are the same young people that we have invested thousands and thousands of dollars in their education. It is in our interest to make it possible for them to fully participate not only in our economy, but in our civil society. I hope that you will use this opportunity to show that Greater Lafayette has the political will to stand up not only in support of DACA, but to make sure our legislators know that the time is now, not months or years from now, to pass the DREAM Act. The best way to support our DACA students is through passing the DREAM Act. That will be a guarantee that they are protected. Please contact Todd Rokita, Senator Joe Donnelly, and Senator Todd Young, and let them know that you expect them to get behind S615, which is sponsored by Lindsey Graham and Senator Richard Durbin. It has a lot of bipartisan support, and HR in the House of Representatives, HR 3440, which is sponsored by Lucille Roybal Allard. Thank you very much, and thank you for support of these wonderful, wonderful students.
One of the things I wanted to mention is we'll have some music playing throughout the rally, so it's not just standing here and listening to a couple of us speak. So if anyone is called to dance, we'll have some salsa, if anyone likes some salsa, and some bachata. So one of the things that as the undocumented student movement progresses in this day and age is wanting to highlight our traditions and wanting to honor and embrace our culture as well. Because as undocumented students, we're often told that, we're here with no fault of our own. And that's not the narrative that as the undocumented student movement that we want to spread. We want to say that it isn't our fault, but that's not the point. The point is that we were brought here with our families, and we stand here with our families until the end, and we're going to embrace our culture, and we want to share that with everyone. So that's why we wanted to share a couple of music here today. So along with chants, we'll also be dancing, if anyone feels called to do that. There are some chants that I wanted to share here. Today at the White House, there was a brief civil disobedience coming from some of our local representatives, like not from Indiana, but Luis Gutierrez from Illinois, and a couple of others that are trying to call for Trump to defend and to protect DACA and to not end DACA. So some of their chants today was no hate, no fear, immigrants are welcome here. No hate,
No fear, immigrants are welcome here.
no hate,
No fear, immigrants are welcome here. No hate, no fear, immigrants are welcome here. No hate, no fear, immigrants are welcome here.
I was asked to share my story today as a DACA recipient, as an undocumented student here in the U.S. and in Indiana. So I'll go ahead and share this and we'll proceed with the program. Hi everyone, my name is Dara Marquez Venegas. I grew up in Elkhart, Indiana, and am currently a graduate student at Purdue University. I am here today as a member of this community and as a community organizer with the Indiana Undocumented Youth Alliance. I came from Mexico 21 years ago to live in Indiana with my parents. Many in my family chose to live and work in Elkhart, Indiana, because at that time many of the RV companies sought cheap and effective manufacturing skills. Elkhart is the RV capital of the world. Our city is responsible for 80% of the global RV production. So chances are that if you see an RV truck rolling down the street, that the undocumented community that I grew up in built it. I am an undocumented, unafraid, and unapologetic daughter, sister, student, and neighbor. I'm currently protected by DACA. DACA provides me with safety from deportation and some financial stability with a temporary working permit. What it does not provide me is permanent protection for either my family or myself. I remember witnessing and participating in all forms of protest and civil disobedience in order for the Obama administration to acknowledge and enact an executive order for DACA. Our victory in obtaining DACA was possible not because we appealed to our legislators or won their hearts over. We demanded it. We forced our administration to do what was legally possible and what was ultimately the right thing to do. Today, on DACA's 5-year anniversary, the program beneficiaries are at risk of losing their temporary protected status. In late June, the Attorney General of Texas and 9 other states began an attack against our undocumented communities. They gave the Trump administration until September 15, 2007 to end DACA. If the administration fails their requests, these states will sue and send the program to courts. The Department of Homeland Security has stated it will not defend the program if it is facing court, and that the program will likely not survive the legal challenge. Today we come together to defend an executive order program that benefits many in our community. And as a DACA recipient, I am thankful for this community today. But I urge you not to stop here, and to keep reflecting on how you speak up and defend our undocumented communities through the lens of the 3 evils: racism, capitalism, and militarism. The fight for DACA, before and now, will always be about more than just education and protection. The 800,000 of those with DACA have another million family members that still need and deserve permanent protection, and we will continue to challenge and expose the decision makers that threaten our safety, dignity, and human rights. I'm sure we know who some of those decision makers are. Thank you all here today, and to those that are afraid, look around us. We are not alone. There is not a single body of our government that can take away our history here, our families' perseverance and stubborn backbones. Do not be afraid. Wear your language, your accent, your legal status, and your community as a cape. As one of my favorite poets has said, throw up your fists like a secret you can't keep any longer. They can't keep you any longer afraid. You can't ever afford to drop a dream, so when they come for you, tell them in the language that you know best, that you are not scared anymore. Thank you. So in solidarity of those students who are marching and their allies in Washington, D.C., exposing their bodies and their liberties in the civil disobedience forum, I wanted to give a chant that we often say of undocumented, unafraid. You can join me in solidarity. Undocumented, unafraid. Undocumented, unafraid.
Undocumented, unafraid. Undocumented, unafraid.
Thank you.
Someone has some pipes.
Next, we have Aaron Walter from GLIA and our surge leader. One of the surge leaders.
They're here, so I had to clarify that. So, a few weeks ago, I was traveling for work and met a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white Irishman who had been living undocumented in the United States for over 20 years.
Microphone, please.
In those 20 years, his children never once feared they would come home and their father would be gone, removed from their lives by ICE. In those 20 years, he drove freely with no license, never worrying about being pulled over because of the color of his skin. In those 20 years, he committed a felony, spent 2 years in prison, and was released to his own Boston neighborhood to continue his life with his wife and children. After telling me his story, his eyes filled up with tears, and he told me how horrible he felt for the millions of undocumented people who live with the kind of fear he had never known. He asked me what he could do to help. So I told him, and I'll tell you, stand side by side with them and fight. We at Showing Up for Racial Justice acknowledge this nation's immigration laws and practices as racist and openly denounce them.
Yep.
As allies, we recognize our privilege and levy it to stand by and for those who need it. People of color have had to shoulder the burden of fighting systematic racism and oppression for far too long alone. As allies, we fight for you, not just today, here at this rally, but every moment, every day, and everywhere. Thank you.
Next, we have Erin Brown, a community leader and neighbor who works with immigrant youth in our community.
Hey everybody, I have had the distinct pleasure and honor of working with immigrant children and children of immigrant families for 13 years. And it's an amazing experience because I've also worked with American children in the same realm, and it's not the same. Because these kids come here with a different passion and a different value for education than typical students. Every day is an adventure. We have a lot of fun. We share a lot of amazing experiences, but there's also some really sad moments that I used to have year after year, and that came about January. Because the kids would come to me and be really nervous and excited and ask me for help writing their essays so they could get accepted to college. And I would have to tell them, I'm sorry. You can't go. You don't have a social security number, you can't go. Year after year, I had the same conversation. One girl was up for valedictorian. Came here as a young child, didn't know any English, worked her way to the top of a class. And I had to tell her, I'm sorry. Maybe one day, but I'm sorry. But then in 2012, that changed. And I no longer had to have that conversation. I had to have conversations about opportunities to apply for the program, but I didn't have to tell them there is no hope right now. And it's really important to me that we keep that opportunity available for all of the kids. It's still hard for them to make it. They don't get any federal funding with DACA. They work their butts off and pay their own way, but they're doing it. And they're being successful, and they're honoring their families and everything they did to get them to this point. And DACA's not significant to a lot of people in this country. They don't know what it is. I actually just had a conversation right before I came here about what DACA was. So for a lot of people, it doesn't matter. But for the people that it matters to, it matters everything. So that's why I'm here, because it's everything to my kids. And that's why I stand in support of my kids and all of their dreams, and here with you to support DACA. Thank you.
If we can have our audience here scoot in a little closer so we can have some people out of the sun.
Yeah, there's people in the sun over there, and I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure some of us are there. So I have another chat, and I'm sure many of us already know these But this is show me what democracy looks like. And then you shout, this is what democracy looks like. All right, here you go. Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Show me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Thank you. So next we'll have Alex Mornix, local activist and student, reading a statement from the Greater Lafayette chapter for ACLU.
Hello.
Hi.
I'll be speaking on behalf of the ACLU today. Under DACA, nearly 800,000 undocumented young people came out of the shadows at the invitation of the U.S. government to apply for work permits and temporary permission to stay in the country. Today, the government is threatening to dismantle DACA, putting these young people at risk of deportation from the only country that they call home. DACA is constitutional and has changed hundreds of thousands of young people's lives across the country. Today, DACA is still in effect. The Trump administration is revoking DACA status for dreamers that speak out against him. Make no mistake, Trump's mass deportation plan is in full motion. We must remain vigilant, and we must use every tool we have to protect and advance the rights of dreamers and all immigrants. If you remain vigilant, no matter how hard the GOP works to send people back into the shadows, they will not succeed. And now, for a moment, I'd like to speak from my own words. I was using words that the ACLU provided me. This year, I had the joy of being able to sit alongside some undocumented individuals who were speaking at a local city council meeting in West Lafayette and sharing their story. Now, it was actually very painful, but it was joyful that they had the courage to be able to go up and speak, and they felt like the community around them actually cared about them. But one after one, they would go up and they would not give out their address alongside some of the citizens among them, because they were afraid of what might happen if they said their address or information out in public. Because it is a real fear for many people what is going to happen, even with DACA in place, even with any protection, even with their community around them. So we need to look every day at what we can do to keep our community safe and understand that there are people among us that are facing a much bigger burden than a lot of us do.
Thank you.
Next we have Kirsten Gibson, an organizer and activist member of the Younger Women's Task Force.
Hi, good evening everyone. My name is Kirsten Gibson and I'm reading this statement on behalf of the Women of Color Collective of the Younger Women's Task Force of Greater Lafayette. The Women of Color Collective is an organizing body of marginalized folks whose bodies carry the memory of the struggle for justice in this nation. We remember that the DACA program was won through the organizing efforts of undocumented youth who placed their lives at risk to bring about justice for immigrants and their families. We remember that immigration is a reproductive justice issue. Reproductive justice demands that every member of this community is given the ability to determine not only if they have a family, but also the conditions under which they raise that family. Yep. We remember that the current immigration enforcement system stands to profit from the incarceration and deportation of queer communities, communities of color, cognitively exceptional communities, and people with chronic illness. We remember that our destinies are tied together, and every day without justice is another day that we lose a comrade, another day we lose a piece of ourselves. The Women of Color Collective is made up of laborers, mothers, immigrants, and organizers who believe in and rely on programs like DACA, and we will fight to keep it alive, porque somos chingonas.
So we'll take a little break with some music. I wanted to invite anyone with an immigrant background or a DACA recipient here today that would like to step up and give a brief testimony of some sort, but before that, I'll give you some time to think. Is there anyone who'd like to dance for a little bit? Just a little break. Intermission.
Just a little. I'm trying to anchor my. Sorry guys for all the stuff.
We cannot turn away from the blatant racism and lies told about immigrants. If you haven't gotten one, we are passing out postcards that have actual statistical facts about immigrants, not the ones that you hear manipulated. On behalf of GLIA, I want to say to the Dreamers, their families, and all the immigrants in our community that we are here for you. Estamos con ustedes. We will stand with and we will stand up for you when you cannot. We see your contributions. We recognize that this community is as much your home as it is anyone else's. We see you woven into the fabric of Greater Lafayette and the United States. We say welcome. Bienvenidos. But my most important message today is for allies. Leah calls on this community to stand and to act. It's not getting better. It's not just talk. It is racism, it is lies, and it is not going to work itself out. The events of this past weekend are not isolated, and they are not surprising when you have a government that spews hate speech as campaign rhetoric, and government leaders who vilify immigrants as a course of daily affairs. I read a quote today that was attributed to JFK. It goes like this. The hottest places in hell are reserved for those who in time of moral crisis preserve their neutrality. We are in a time of moral crisis. Of that there is no doubt. Inaction signals consent. Make a decision today on your moral character. Allies must act, not wring their hands. Forwarding a Facebook post doesn't change the world. We must work to protect those who are under attack. You can speak out, you can stand up, and you can get involved. Being involved doesn't have to mean talking into a megaphone. It can mean everything from writing a postcard, educating yourself, attending a fellowship event, baking a cake for your neighbor, or leading a march. If you don't know where to start, get involved with local groups like Greater Lafayette Immigrant Allies, Surge, and Younger Women's Task Force. All of these groups are doing great work in our community and they need your help. GLIA alone has an amazing amount of events coming up into September alone. We're gearing up for a whole month of welcoming Greater Lafayette events, and we need your help. We need you to join us, and I want to thank everyone for being here tonight.
You're welcome.
Next, we'll hear from Hector Avila.
All right. So I'm sorry if it sounds like a rant, but there's no other way to explain it. So, undocumented, and this is the face. This is the face of a person that was here without a choice of being here and a choice of being in Mexico. I was 8 years old, and I learned English pretty well. Growing up, I actually was always asked, where did you learn English? I grew up in the system, I can tell you. But the main reason why I speak out today is to open up the views and open up your eyes. if you didn't know what sometimes happens in the life of an undocumented immigrant, or as a lot of people would like to say, illegal immigrant, or wetback, spick, brown. This is the face. We have feelings, we have morals. There's good people, there's bad people. It doesn't matter what your color is. But today, I'm really glad Journal Courier made it out. I'm really glad WLFI made it out. But at the same time, I don't know exactly why you're out here. Is it because this story is going to get more views? Is it because this story is going to get more shares? Last week, we had a very sad situation happen here in Lafayette. Double homicide. There was a mother and there was a brother-in-law that were killed. Double homicide. I was saddened to see the news. I saw that everybody involved in this homicide, double homicide, was Hispanic. And I thought, okay, that's really sad to see. Whether they're Hispanic, whether they're Caucasian, Asian, Indian, European, it doesn't matter. It's sad to see. But then, there's an update on the story. And clearly there's a face, and right underneath the title says, suspect is in U.S. illegally. I'm not standing up for the suspect. But does that make him more or less of a criminal? This is the face that is being victimized, that is being played with. I am documented. I am under the DACA program. At this point, I just received new employment. Got hired into a higher position, but I don't know if September 5th I will continue to have an employment. I don't know that December, when my DACA is over, I'll be able to renew. But DACA expires every 2 years. For the last 5 years, I've renewed it twice. And every renewal, the government has had my renewal fee. I come here not to get anything for free. I'm here because I work my ass off. Not one federal payment or federal loan I've had to pay for college. All the college I've had has been paid for by my work, by the opportunity to work. All the books. And not only that, but at age 18, let me go back a little bit more. Age 11, my dad was deported. He made it back. He made it back because he had no other choice. His family was here. He had risked his life already too much not to be with his family. And because the broken immigration system, all he had to do was use my uncle's papers. And he went right across the bridge. And I'm not saying that is something that is unlawful. But the reason why I say that is because the system is so broken that he could do that. But at age 17, he was deported again. And this time, it was forever. He received a bar for 10 years. And ever since I was 18, I've had to take care and be the head of household. And I had two choices to make. Whether I would man up to it and become the head of household, not to change, and just take the challenge, help my family move forward, pay for bills, rent, or to be mad at the world and become a villain. But that's what everybody wants us to be. Everybody wants to villain us. And so ever since then, I've been working. I've been volunteering in the community. I volunteered so much in the community and spoke at all these rallies and got interviewed by the TV station, the Journal Courier, and you know why I stopped doing that? Because all the comments, he's illegal, let's find his family, I've seen him where he works, we should call ICE on him. So they try to shut me down, and for many years, many months, I've been on the down low, hiding. But I'm losing the fear. Everything's been taken away from me. And even the fear. I have nothing else to lose. I lost my dad. At any given point, I could lose my mom. But today, I'm here just to tell you, documented or undocumented, all immigrants have a story. And the only thing that I ask of you are small things. You hear somebody say illegal, correct them. No human being is illegal. Undocumented, that's what they are, because I don't have documents to walk back and forth from this country to another country. I don't know the national anthem for Mexico. But God damn it, I can sing the Star Spangled Banner. I pledge allegiance to the flag ever since I was a little kid. And I remember when I learned something that goes along life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I've just been pursuing not getting arrested and deported. That's not happiness. And those are certain unalienable rights. I think we forgot where that came from. Because all immigrants, unless you're indigenous to this land, your family, your ancestors came from a different land. So today I just ask you to spread the word and share the love. Because even though I may be getting pushed to be an angry person inside, I can't be. That's what they want me to be. So the only thing I can do is just little by little, when somebody comes up to me that doesn't have favorable views of immigrants, and they say, I like you. I like you because you can speak English. They should all do that. Then I would accept them. Then I can tell them, hey, by the way, the person you just did business with wasn't documented. I'm documented. And then they just stay quiet. Educate yourselves, empower yourselves, keep spreading the word. Don't be afraid to show who you are. If you are documented, if you're not undocumented, just keep supporting each other. I never thought we would come to this point. Everybody would ask me if Trump would get elected, and I said there's no way. He did. And once he did, I was scared as hell. I told everybody, just watch. The whole country's going to divide. And right now, media is loving it. Media is loving everything that's happening because there's good reports to make. The other day, there was a vigil that was in solidarity to the events that happened tragically last weekend in Charlotte. But I didn't see media here. It was a beautiful vigil. And there was 4 times as many people as here. But there was no media here. I'm sorry, media, I'm not picking on you. But you know what I mean. And you can run this story. Put my face. They can't have my name. I fear for my safety. And I'm not going to put my family in jeopardy. Thank you all for coming. And that's all.
From Jasmine.
Everyone, can you hear me? Yes. My name is Jasmine. I have lived in this area for less than 2 years. I grew up in another state that's not very different from Indiana. Right? Very similar people. Whenever you walk into a room, you don't know them. People are very friendly, at least superficially, right? People will chat you up in the line at the grocery store, say, hey, how you doing? Really hot out today, right? Yeah, it's flooding out here now. We came here to the U.S. when I was 4 years old. Like our previous testimony, I didn't have a choice. My parents came here. And the reason that my parents came to the United States wasn't because they were like, hey, let's go jump the border and take advantage of all this free welfare that the government is handing out. Or hey, let's go get in on this like free education scam, right? They came here out of desperation. You know, my family comes from one of the biggest cities in Mexico, very metropolitan, a lot of job opportunities, a lot of people go there from other parts of Mexico. And even there, man, it was so hard to make a living. My mom had to drop out of school. She didn't finish junior high even, let alone high school. My dad didn't even finish elementary. So when we came here to the United States, it was really because even coming here without documents, without papers, sin papeles, as you say it, even then it was so much better than being in Mexico in a sense, in the financial sense, in the sense that, you know, my brother and my sister and I, we could have education, at least K through 12, that we didn't have to live in utter poverty, that we didn't have to choose between, am I going to go out today to my job, or am I going to stay inside because I'm hiding from the violence in Mexico, violence against women, drug violence. So when I came here, I grew up as an American, right? So all of those experiences, this is going to get my age a little bit, but I grew up listening to Britney Spears, like a lot of you. I grew up watching Magic School Bus and SpongeBob SquarePants, and I remember when things like The Real World came out, reality shows, right? I grew up going to football games in high school, being part of the marching band, going to football tournaments. I wanted to be a cheerleader when I was in 7th grade. When I got in high school, I didn't want to be cheerleader. That was earlier. You know, I have all these experiences, and just so, like most of you have experiences that are very, very similar. Experiences that really what they tell us is that we are in so deep in the American experience, and we make up an integral part of the fabric of what is America and the experience of being American. And so, you know, whenever I was college, I didn't know if I was going to go to college. I'm thankful in the state where I grew up in, on my home state, did not limit my hearing American when I thought, you know, I didn't have access telling me, man, you're a woman of color. You study STEM field. You could be going out there making tons of money, being a role model for all these young people, all these women, all these people of color, showing them what is possible. But I was very limited by the fact that I didn't have a social security number, right? So whenever I got DACA, it completely changed everything. It was truly transformative. It was, I can get a driver's license. I don't have to worry about taking a 5-10 minute drive to the grocery store down the street. So I'm going to have my driver's license. I'm going to look and I'm going to appear like every other American. Whenever my friends want to go out, they're going to appear after classes and just complain and unwind and just get all the stresses of the week off of us. You know, I'd have that ID so I could go in and I could show that I could be just like everybody else, right? Just fit in. I could travel, I could work. All of my classmates who were doing research when I was able to start doing all that stuff. It was really, really hugely transformative. So last year, just like our previous speaker, when I was watching the campaign, I was like, man, there's no way. There's no way Trump is going to win. It's ridiculous. People are going to see right through this. And unfortunately, I didn't see it coming, really honestly. I'm going to tell you about one of my friends, one of my best friends from college, from undergrad. She's a white gal from the Ozarks, Arkansas. Very, very rural, very homogenous, very white. And she and I met whenever we were applying for a fellowship for an undergrad scholarship. And we became super close, really, really good friends. At the beginning of our junior year, her ex-boyfriend killed himself. She was devastated. She came to my dorm room, I hadn't even unpacked, right? There were no bed sheets or anything on my bunk. And she just came and she just fell apart. She was crying. She was so utterly devastated. This same friend, fast forward to just after the election, I'm letting people know in my Facebook friends, say, hey, I'm opening my heart to you guys. I'm expressing the deepest fears and emotions and insecurities and saying, I'm so afraid of what's going to happen right now. And I have a conversation with her on Facebook, and it's a private conversation. And she's telling me that people like me in my situation don't belong here, that the law is the law, and that we should get sent back, right? It doesn't matter all the experiences that she and I shared, all the things that we went through together, the way that we built each other up, all those common experiences that we had, they were really not that different because we grew up a couple hours away from each other, we went to the same school, and we obviously bonded over many different things. And have someone like that tell me that because I didn't have permission from the U.S. government to come to the country, I was 4 years old, I didn't have a choice. Right? Remember, I did not have a choice. But I should get sent back because it's the law. And to have that conversation over and over again with so many people who invested so much in my life as I was growing up, that's super difficult. And so this is what happens whenever you take a group of people and you demonize them and you say, because of this one rule that they broke out of their entire life experience, out of all the choices that they made, this one thing defines them, that it defines us, and that determines how we should be treated. And it doesn't. Because let me tell you, whenever people like me, or like some of our previous speakers, get DACA, get a social security number, the things that we can accomplish are amazing, right? We come here and we get involved in the community. We pay taxes, we volunteer, we become your friends and neighbors, a shoulder for you to cry on, someone to celebrate your birthdays, the birth of your children, someone to lean on when times get tough. Basically, just like everybody else, right? And so, whenever you you crack down on immigrants, what you do is you fracture a community. You alienate people. And I'm going to tell you another story about my life, okay? When my family came up here, I was about 4.5 years old. We came up here with my dad, my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister. She's not my sister, she's important. My dad, super abusive, always had been abusive throughout the entire relationship that my mom had. And I remember towards the end of the time that my mom was with my dad, he threw me up against the wall, some fight, something or the other. Fortunately, I wasn't hurt. He'd been physically and emotionally and verbally, psychologically manipulating and abusing my mom for years. And my mom went to the police, the local police, and bruises on her body, on her face, tears. Could barely speak English, had to have one of my brother's kindergarten teacher translate for her. And you know what the police said to her? We can't help you because you don't have papers. And this has already been happening, right, for a while. It's not a new problem. But it's an exacerbated problem now. Whenever you demonize immigrants, you're going to make everyone less safe. Because crimes that should be reported, the trust that we should have between us as residents, as citizens of this country, and authority figures, police officers, firemen, paramedics, it shouldn't be about whether or not you have a social security number. It should be about, you have a problem, how can I help you? What can I do? And so you're breaking that down. You're breaking down that trust. And you're limiting this great potential that's in these 800,000 DACA recipients, plus their family members. All this untapped potential, not just economic, right? Not just taxpayer money, but also what we can do to help build up these communities that we're a part of. So, what to do now, right? Call your congressman, write your congressman, keep coming to stuff like this. If you know someone who's an immigrant, let them know, hey, you ever want to talk about this stuff? I'm here for you, right? That's a huge part of it. It's mental health is a big aspect of this that we're going through right now. You know, show up. And most of all, listen. Listen. Let us tell you what you can do to help us. And use your privilege, use your power. Thank you very much.
Some of our 10 points out as organizers and as community members, we're proposing for our community to follow after this rally, to not just go home and post about it, or to go home and start watching TVs. And the list will also be posted on the CLIA site and on the event page if you found out about it today. The first one is to contact your representatives in Congress and tell them to support DACA recipients and their families. The second one is in Greater Lafayette, get involved with groups such as GLIA, SURGE, and the Young Women's Task Force. Donate time and or money to an organization supporting dreamers and their families. Those organizations include ACLU, that does quite a bit for our community, IUEO, which is the Indiana Undocumented Youth Alliance, and all their funds go towards undocumented scholarships for undocumented students. Volunteer to help with the Loon Immigration Clinic citizenship classes. Support and attend Welcoming Week activities in Greater Lafayette. That will be September 15th to the 24th. Inform yourself, read, research, discuss, but most of all, reflect on recent and past events and ask yourself how you can contribute to create a better outcome. And this reflection isn't just for community members, but it's also for those who are in decision-making positions, such as advisory boards, political parties, professors, etc. You're expected to also reflect on this. Contact Indiana Attorney General Curtis Hill and tell him to protect DACA, At this point in time, Curtis Hill, the Indiana Attorney General, hasn't given any statement of whether he supports or does not support DACA, but the silence could also be very dangerous, so we urge you to contact him. Have a smile for everyone in our community and be a welcomer. Spread the GLIA welcome message on your bumper, in your store or office window, or in your yard, which we have up here. And last but not least, advocate for immigrants within our local government. Thank you.
By the way, also quick announcement. Myself and anybody from Latino Center for Wellness and Education, if you can raise your hand back there. Like up high. You guys put deodorant on today? Okay. We actually have 5 scholarships for incoming freshmen this year. So if you guys know of students that have graduated this past May and are incoming freshmen to any of the surrounding schools, hit us up. We've got free money, and your status doesn't matter. Okay.
Yeah.
La gente unida jamás será vencida. 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 Okay. There's another one that we had mentioned. Unfortunately, we had to mention Trump in some of these speeches. But this one is for Trump. Trump, escucha, which is Trump, listen. Estamos en la lucha. Trump, escucha, 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 estamos en la lucha. All right, any more chants? So we'll play music and we'll hang around. Thank you everyone for joining us today.